Alabama pulls some late magic in the recruitment for four-star wide receiver Jalen Hale. Nick Harris and Cole Patterson for Rivals.com. And Cole, this was one that was going both ways late before his commitment. Sources close to Hale were telling one people one thing, another group of people another thing, but it ended up being Alabama in the end. What kind of fit do you see for Jalen Hale at Alabama?
Yeah, for sure. Big win for Alabama, pulling a kid out of Texas that Texas and Texas A&M both really wanted. Jalen Hale is a kind of guy that can make an instant impact at Alabama out wide. He's a long strider with really good speed. Can go up and get the football. He can win the jump ball. He can hurt you after the catch. He's a really well-rounded wide receiver and a really big-time kid for Alabama.
Yeah, very dynamic playmaker. He's a big-bodied wide receiver who also combines that with a lot of athleticism. I feel like if he did a broad jump at the combine here about 3 to 4 years, it would wow a lot of people. He reminds me a lot of what Julio Jones looked like coming out of high school. Maybe not to that level, but definitely has that kind of potential at the next level for Alabama. And they've been able to kind of, set that blueprint for him and make it seem, what it would look like in Tuscaloosa. You mentioned an early impact, and granted, Alabama's receiver room is going to be pretty loaded once they develop these guys that they signed in the 2022 class, Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Law, those guys of the sort. And then also here in 2023, they have 2 guys committed, headlined by Malik Benson from Hutchinson, Kansas, and Cole Adams from Owasso, Oklahoma. But I think Hale comes in and he will be able to have probably more of an early impact than those other guys, just based on that athleticism, based on what he's been able to do at the high school level, and also being from a high school program at Longview. There's a lot of prowess coming out of there. Players are typically developed for the next level coming out of Longview. But going back to his recruitment, he took an official visit to Texas for the Alabama game. He took an official visit to Alabama the week before, and it seemed like Texas might have the early edge and the edge going right into his commitment. But just about last night, that's when things started to unravel, and it looked like Alabama was going to take over. Now, do you see Alabama, finishing it off, and could you see Texas, maintaining conversation and trying to pull a late flip?
Yeah, that's a good question. Texas really surged in the summer, especially when Arch Manning got on board in their class. Jonte Cook is another guy that Texas got in their recruiting class, has been in Jalen Hale's ear for a while now. Texas felt really good, going into the announcement, but Alabama, like you said, didn't make another big push. Kind of hard to turn down Nick Saban and playing out in Tuscaloosa. I do think Texas will remain in contact, at least, try to chip away until signing day. There's a long way to go until a pen hits the paper. Obviously, you got to have to like where Alabama is with his commitment, but Texas obviously won't back down. They have Arch Manning to sell. They have the ability to sell, playing alongside Jonte Cook, what they've done with Xavier Worthy. So Texas still has things to sell Jalen Hale to stay in the state, but Alabama wins out, at least for right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Alabama will probably be able to secure his signature just based on what they've been able to show him so far. And if they are able to show him a path to the field early on, especially once he early enrolls in January, which is confirmed to happen. Looking at Alabama's class, they now have 2 commits from the state of Texas, both from East Texas, and both coming this week. Cole, you've talked about the East Texas presence that Alabama has had recently. How do you kind of see this, being a mainstay looking forward?
Yeah, obviously East Texas has a lot of talent. It's called Beast Texas out here, and for good reason. There's talent all over the region, especially at Longview, up in Tyler as well. They flipped Jamari Miller from Texas on Thanksgiving last year in the 2022 cycle. Like you said, they just got Jordan Renaud this week out of Tyler Legacy. And then you cap that off with Jalen Hale out of Longview. There's 3 really good players, 3 guys that have a chance to make impacts during their career in Tuscaloosa. All 3 players are big-time recruits that, Texas really wanted. Like I said, Texas A&M, Oklahoma really wanted. So big for Alabama to come into this region and pull that kind of talent out and get them in their program. Derek McFall, looking forward, is a 2024 guy that Alabama has offered. They've made their presence felt in that region, and I don't see any way that they don't continue to pull prospects out of that area.
Yeah, 4-star wide receiver Jalen Hale has the potential to be the next big-time dynamic playmaker to go to Alabama and go off into the NFL. That's Cole Patterson. I'm Nick Harris. Jalen Hale to Alabama.